Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Fallout Bar with myself, Jack Gobigal, and here on behalf of Online Darts. Normally, there'd be more than one of us sat here, but the rest of the team are busy. So, desperate times call for desperate measures. And maybe I'm not alone, but I don't quite think any of you are going to believe who is actually in the room next to me, but on a different console. Mr. Charlie Beaton is back here. What's going on?
Good evening. Hello. This is a very weird feeling. Hello, everybody. This is something that if you'd have put a bet on, and we'll talk about betting tonight, gamble responsibly, everybody. But we'll talk about betting later on. If you'd have put a bet on me coming back to online darts, I would have told you were mental. But as Gob said, for Talent School for Different Measures, I'm actually, as Gob says, I've actually been working in Nottingham, and I'm actually staying in the same house as Gob. I'm literally, not even a foot from him in another room. And as he says, desperate times call for desperate measures. So, this is a weird feeling.
Yeah. I don't know why we're on different devices. I could have just put another chair next to me and widened the camera. Now I think of it, and it probably would have been for audio, but then we've been looking at each other, and I don't want to stare in your eyes. I'm not that kind
I've said it to you enough recently, so it's fine. Like, I totally understand that. But yeah, this is a very weird feeling after coming back from 3 months off. I don't think I've even done a Fallout bar for a long time. That's how long it is.
Just remind me to get a lock on my door after that last comment, mate, because that's a bit weird staring at me.
I love staring at you. You know that.
I feel exposed.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back.
Guy says hello, Jarlif. Nice to see you back here. Matthew says hi, guys. Good to see you. Yeah, it's been all right. I've never known a man. Everybody. I can't be that unbearable. I've never known a man drink that much red wine in a short space of time as Jar has over the last couple of days.
Yeah, 2.5 bottles down, and once this is done, another half a bottle to go. So it was, isn't it?
We'll find someone else to watch on TV once we have finished discussing some darts, Jar, because that is the point of tonight's show. Now, a quick reminder, mate, what we're going to do is we're going to run in match order from this evening. Okay, I know in the past we might have jumped about a bit, but now that it's a bracket, we have to go in this order as it just doesn't make any sort of sense. In previous years, we'd have picked the good bits, left the crap bits, and hope we get into to balance it out at the end, but that doesn't happen anymore. If you are new here, or if you are expecting to see the live league, by the way, there is a technical issue that will be live as soon as possible, so stay tuned on the channel. We will run simultaneously. Obviously, normally that starts before, so you may not have picked up this show ever before, but basically this is a Premier League review show from us at Online Darts in association with our friends at BoyleSports, who are sponsoring our entire Premier League coverage for 2022. If you haven't done so already, please do drop down and give us a like, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the content and all that regular spiel that I'm sure I'll remind you all at the end of the evening as well. And if you do want to get involved, obviously we do vary which software we use tonight. Means I can flash comments up on the screen. Andrew says, evening guys, very nice to see you back, Charlie. Lots of compliments for you.
I've said this before, Gob.
Go downhill very, very quickly.
Gob, I've got to say this. I've said this before to you before we came on air, and you asked me to come back on tonight. I did say that the biggest story would not be the fact that Johnny Clayton's won another night in the Premier League. The biggest story would be my return here. We know this. So, I've still got millions of fans, or 3 fans. They're all the same to me.
I think the best bit is there's video evidence for the last 5 minutes of you sitting in front of an Anfield Road sign as a Man United fan.
Well, it is what it is, and I might have to throw up on that because I drank 2.5 bottles of wine. But I don't think your living partner would be happy about that. Oh, neither would you, to be fair.
I mean, the fact that he gets the office when I stream is ridiculous. Look how nice that shelf setup would be. The desk should be underneath the window, but he's recently turned it around. Get all the darts memorabilia up on that shelf. It would look banging instead. Get my wardrobe and some drawers behind me in the corner of my bed. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, let's actually get on with the darts. We're going to be here all night and waste valuable drinking time, actually, because we're in the same game number 1, and a result that actually I don't think many would have seen coming because Van Gerwen. Yeah, well, that's the smug face. You said you didn't want to see that, but you're going to see it a few more times as well.
I never liked seeing your smug face ever when I was working here. And now that your betting is up as well, up for the evening, I despise the smug face even more.
It paid for the dinner that I went out for earlier as well. But
That's
game
true,
number one, a victory for James Wade against an out of sorts Michael Van Gogh, 99 average for Wadey, just 87 for Van Gogh, and it was 2 from 13 on the outer ring. That was a panicked man who forget to get the current game up.
No, I've got it up. I was just trying to get the other the stuff from last weekend. Look, the biggest problem I've got at the moment with that is that you know, I used to always say what is a Rob Cross, and then you say what is a Michael Van Gogh, and I definitely used to say what is a Rob Cross, right? I don't know what a Michael Van Gogh is at the moment, because one, he can go and absolutely bash anybody in the world, and people will play up against him and all that sort of stuff, and that's grand. But then on that basis, obviously he won the Players' Championship the weekend. But then he goes and puts in a performance like this, where it looks a little bit different to the Michael Van Gogh that we've become accustomed to over the last 3 weeks, because he's been in a Euro Tour final, he won that Euro Tour, and now he's won the Players' Championship. And then he puts in a performance like this, especially after last week when in Rotterdam, he was very good.
I mean, we haven't really seen him drop off. This is very much synonymous of last year's Premier League campaign, a performance like this, because last year when he was having a little bit of a dip, etc., his Premier League campaign last year, when it was every other night, was one good night, one bad night. And for the last couple of weeks, Van Gogh's been very much on the ascension. We know he's had struggles over the last 18 months, but to put in a performance like that, I don't think many of us would have seen coming. We've seen this from the other guys in the big three, the big four. Johnny Clayton's chucked in a few not so great performances in the last couple of weeks since week 1 and week 2. Definitely struggled when he's made a final. Price has obviously got his hand injury, although that doesn't seem to have stopped him an awful lot. And Peter Wright has been very, very hit and miss. So the top boys have shown signs of vulnerability, but we sort of thought that Van Gogh had eliminated that his B game was in a position where it was mid to low 90s. You might get a chance against him, but not one that's 88 average in the end.
No, I don't disagree with that. The biggest thing for me about the way that MVG's worked is that obviously he's one of only 2 players, or before coming into the night, he was the only player that had won 2 nights of this Premier League. And you can clearly see that he's starting to really thrive again in this format. We've always said that the Premier League's his baby, and he's always about that. I just think that when you go missing that far on the outer ring, it can hurt you a lot, and it obviously hurts him in this game. And Wade took the chances because that's what Wade does. Like, if you tell me that Wade beat Cody and averaged 99, he hit 3 180s, he hit 127 out, and hit over 50% on his doubles, I'd go, yeah. What's your point? That's literally Wade. That's wading. That is the definition of wading. Go in the dictionary. That is the definition of wading. So my point on this is that MVG at the moment, I'm not particularly concerned. He'll go to Barnsley tomorrow, and Saturday. Obviously not playing Sunday, but he'll go to Barnsley tomorrow and Saturday. Have a couple of good games, and I think he will probably go and win one of the 2 tournaments that he's actually playing in. I don't think we'll see much of him. I don't think we're going to see too much of him on the Pro Tour after this weekend. Maybe he might come in before the major tournaments, because obviously the top 10 schedules in particular will be managed quite heavily this year, especially going back to a normal. And we've not had a normal year for a couple of years, but it is what it is. He averaged 85, or 87. It wasn't fantastic, but I wouldn't be too concerned if I was MVG. He'll go and win a Pro Tour either Friday or Saturday, probably, no doubt, and he'll do what he does. It is what it is.
Still top of the table as well, but we'll get on to that very, very shortly. Rose says, evening. She says, welcome back. A lot of love for you. I don't know what's going on here. I wish I'd never
this is like the return of Jesus. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not being funny, but...
So low. Next up, game number 2 of the night, and news broke earlier in the week, actually, and it broke after we'd done the live lounge, that Gerwyn Price's hand injury was actually a fractured hand. So there's a perception that I'm not his biggest fan. To go and win a Pro Tour with a hand last weekend, by the way, is ridiculously good. The man is so talented. It's a joke. And the fact he's playing through that. But I genuinely think, here's the point, that finding out it is a full fracture plays with your mind a bit. When you're not quite sure what it is, but you think you're playing through potentially a strain or whatever, you're still prepared to just go, you can go to the wall with it. The minute that you find out it's a fracture, I think there's something in the back of the mind that says that you can't fully extend, or you're worried about doing more damage to it. And once you understand that you're supposed to be in plaster for the next 4 to 6 weeks and whatever else, I think that may have got to him a little bit tonight. Look, 92 average plays, 93 average. Joe Cullen, again, in similar fashion to the game before, just taking his chances, both a little bit lower on the doubles than Wade. He was 6 from 19, going 3 from 13 in the end. But it's a better, average-wise and statistically, on paper, this is a better performance from Joe Cullen than he used all week to go and win the title last week.
Yeah, I don't dispute that. I think going back to Gezi, right, we all know how lucrative the Premier League is. The fact that there's £1 million worth of prize money pretty much tells you that he has to continue to play, because he can't just drop out of the Premier League right now. Like, if he can get through these next 4 weeks and maybe win a couple of games here and there, then he could still be in the mix, because it always seems to happen. Well, certainly the last couple of years, it seems to happen with Gezi that he's very, very close. He's always close. He's never made that top 4 in the Premier League. He's always been that, just a couple of moments away. Like, remember back in 2019 when a couple of draws and that he didn't go his way, and 2021 when he tested positive last year for COVID. The biggest problem I've got with Gezi at the moment is that this is a question more for you, God, because normally I pose the questions and you give the answers. That's how it used to work when we used to work together.
I'm not gonna lie, I do miss that as well. Hosting the football up bar is not where I'm naturally. I'm an opinion man.
Are you? You don't give opinions. Genuine question though, it is one for you, because I'm starting to think that it might be the case. Do you think that number one little battle with Peter Wright might be playing on his mind a little bit? Because he doesn't want to get Wright too far ahead of himself, too far ahead of him, because Wright hasn't got much to defend. Yes, there's a European Championship coming down in October, but Gezi's got a World Grand Prix, and then in January 2023, he's got 500 grand coming off his ranking if he don't win the Worlds. So do you think that might be playing on his mind a little bit?
Potentially, but if it is, I'd urge him to not. He's already had an okay career in one sport. He's got a very, very good opportunity here in darts to keep forging an exceptional career, like to be a world champion, to win the amount of major titles that Going Price has in a relatively short span, actually, within the sport, is brilliant. And actually, because he's 15, even 20 years younger than your Wright, your Anderson, your Whitlock who's dropping off, Mervyn King, etc. There's a lot of those boys that are off soon. All right, A.D. Lewis, James Wade, Van Gerwen, going to be around for a long, long time. Clayton's got another 5 to 10 years, maybe. Cullen and that. So there is elements of it getting younger. But for me, what Going Price has to do now is exactly the same thing that I was urging Nathan Aspinall to do just a week and a half ago when we found out about the extent of his injury. Go and get that surgery as soon as possible, because for Nathan Aspinall, especially as this is a 9-month layoff, to do more damage now short term to try and defend a ranking position at the extent of a 30-year career that Nathan Aspinall could well have from here is a ridiculous decision.
The only thing, I'm sorry to interrupt. The only thing that I've got around that, and I appreciate, we'll talk about Cullen a little bit more, because look, Cullen's gone through and won 6-3 and a very good job from him. But the reason why I search on Going Price more than anything is because, yeah, okay, you mentioned that point, but remember, the Premier League is so lucrative that he has to keep playing in it. He's got to try and at least be in that position to try and win that spot in the top 4. In particular, he's never done it before in his career. But more importantly than that, going into the ranking events, obviously you've got 3 events which are going to be streamed. Streamed online darts Friday to Sunday. Make sure that you watch this stream, because I'll be giving you every result for every game. Thank you. In particular, though, the reason why he's got to be there at the point is because we're in such a weird position where between April and July, nothing comes off your ranking. Nothing. So in order to be able to, you can basically, if he's good at this point, he can probably pay for half his world's fee before he even gets to Blackpool. So on that basis, look, don't look at it like that. What I mean is that, like, in theory, it can happen. So he has to keep playing Because otherwise, if he doesn't, then say, for instance, he wins 100, if he doesn't win 100 grand, that's one of his world's money coming off. Pretty much paid for already. And any sort of slam to go and win, no doubt, although he won't be in Wolverhampton probably next year.
Yeah, but I just think the focus needs to be getting fit so we can have a proper crack at that back end of the season. Because the longer you keep trying to play through this, because it's the Premier League and whatever else, you cannot be concerned about world number one right now. Like I said, nobody's defending anything for the next few weeks. You have to back yourself to be fit and healthy in 3 to 4 weeks and then go again when you get another crack at the next phase of Euro tours or whatever. The longer that he keeps trying to play through this, the more likely it is that he's going to do more damage. And the longer you keep extending this, it's like trying to run on a hamstring a week too early, and then you back out for another 2 to 3 weeks. You keep doing damage to your throwing hand, no matter how much you're resting it, 6 days a week. If you're then putting it through the force that he requires to throw a dart competitively, in anger, you can't just go up there and go through the motions, because the DRA will fine you for not playing to the best of your ability.
No, that's only if you Mickey Mansell.
But yeah, look, he has to just get fit, basically, and take the short-term sacrifices for it. Go think long-term. Because
but going back to the point,
he is spending an awful lot of World Championship money, but the longer he keeps pushing this back, the more likely is he does more damage to it. The more likely he's not even going to be eligible or able to play in those events to defend that money. Worry about defending that when you're ready to defend it. You can't be thinking about accumulating 10 grand or 20 grand this weekend at absolute best and doing more damage so that by the time you get to the Premier League again next week, it's still 8 weeks left.
But if he goes and does bits in Leeds next week, he'll be back up into the top 4. He goes and wins the event, which he can do. We've already seen that. He threw 7 games at that level and won on a Pro Tour. If he can go win 3 games with a fractured hand, he's back up into the top 4 next week.
Yeah, I just don't think he should. Anyway, Joe Cullen, good win for Joe Cullen, but let's move on before we get bogged down all night, because we're going to talk more Joe Cullen in a minute. Game number 3 is a game that I had a message earlier going, I feel like I've seen this game 30 times since the World Championships already, and that is possibly the criticism of this format. Yes, on the night, in the venue, having a final, etc. is good. Still not convinced after being a Nazi of the week, but actually I do feel like we're losing.
But let's be frank about it. Hang on, let's be frank about it. You're not convinced of Nottingham as a Premier League night, which I fully accept. So this isn't about the format. It's about there are places that the Premier League works. 3 main places I think the Premier League works: Dublin, 4: Dublin, Rotterdam, Berlin, and Exeter. The rest of it, I personally don't think it works. Cardiff maybe.
Leeds is okay. We've gone from 2 to 5 or 6. I had a message about Birmingham atmosphere tonight as well, and someone else wasn't very impressed. So at least we're crap from where we're from as a venue. But yeah, look, that is the criticism of this format in general, is that we're seeing these matchups so often. It used to be special when you had a world number 1 take on a world number 2. Now you're seeing it 3 times a week sometimes if they meet at a Pro Tour or Euro Tour, then the Premier League, and then again the following weekend on a floor event. So yeah, look, that is the criticism of this. The World Cup, former teammates, potentially teammates again this year. Who knows what's going on with Team Scotland? Meet again. Look, Gary looked decent in patches, but too many missed darts. Double 3 and 5 from 15. Snakebite kicking it up a level from the last couple of weeks. We've seen him have a little bit of a dip. He looked a lot more focused tonight. Straight dart, straight out the bat. Last leg decider win for Snakey.
Yeah, I think the biggest moment of the whole matchup was when Anderson broke at 4-2 and Anderson held at 4-2 and then didn't even get an opportunity then to go and try and break the game at that, because Wright pinged the 156 and then there was that. Because the 156 I think changed the game particularly. That 156, like I say, changed the game. I don't think it was particularly great of a game itself. I think it was a very, close game. My worry, I've always said this about Gando, is that when he's on it, he's on it. But when he's not, it just doesn't feel like he wants to go for. Look, Craig, I'll give you Glasgow. The old Aberdeen was sensational. Is that you?
No.
Is that Philip?
It is Philip.
Wow, that is a big surprise. Good evening, Philip. Yeah, Craig, I'll give you Glasgow. Aberdeen in the old venue was sensational. I'm not too sure about the new venue personally, but that's the issue. But it's a great Hilton. I had a drink with one of the managers. I think we got in, when I got in about 3:15 the night of the Aberdeen Premier League.
It's not waffling. Can we actually talk what happened tonight?
Yeah, sorry. I haven't been here for a long time. I've been here for a long time. Look, going back to it, it went down to a final game. Anderson missed tops to get it. Wright missed the ball. It happens. You know, there was that. Let's just hope they get back to it because we saw what happened. Well, you saw what happened like live to him. He was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Look, I think there's a fair few players in that category right now. You're Adrian Lewis, who looked good last weekend, and Patches. The boys that have been there, done it, and starting to drop off a bit have still clearly got the ability. Your friend Raymond van Barneveld winning a Pro Tour, when he does it, it just looks so smooth. But he hasn't quite got the A-level game for a full day, has he? His 9-dart last week was glorious. Yeah, you keep grinning. Final first-round match of the night. Michael Smith against Johnny Clayton. Smith, one of two players yet to win a night in the Premier League, and his search goes on after he's beaten 6-1 by Johnny Clayton. Numbers-wise, there is not a great deal difference between these two. Both average 99. In fact, Smith slightly higher, but he only had 4 darts at a double. Johnny Clayton 6 from 16. You can raise your hand all you want, mate. I'm coming to you in a second. There'll be a question, and then you're no doubt going to waffle and fire back whatever you want to say at that point. So let me get what I need to say out, and then you carry on.
Okay.
Good win for Johnny Clayton, who again has had a bit of an up and down since week 2.
Yes, I don't dispute that. Clayton has been up and down, but then again, though, I think ever since that game against was it Smith, wasn't it, in the last 16? Pretty sure it was Smith, wasn't it? That he played in the last 16 of the Worlds. That game, he hasn't looked like the same ferret that we've seen since he had that incredible 2021. But I'm going to raise you a question again, God, because I like doing this. Michael Smith, do we think that world title final has taken it out of him? Because
I was concerned, granted, but to
I
me,
think I haven't seen Smith at a level where I've thought, okay, he's that level since that world final. And I think mentally, I'm not sure whether it's broken him.
But up until that final in the World Championship, and even then in the final, to be honest, he never looked like faltering. And there have been a few more moments since where, under the pressure of decent performance against him, you can't play your A game 100% all the time. And for Michael Smith, it's at the right times, and he made the UK Open final. He's made 2 Premier League finals already in 8 weeks. So he's a quarter of the time he's making the final when he's won 8 in the field. Not bad.
But then that UK Open final.
Yeah, but
I mean, you can't. I'm sorry. Like, if Michael Smith is this player that many people have said he is, and I've tried to say that he is as well, you can't lose a TV final averaging 91. You can't. I'm sorry, you can't.
Look, you can't. But at the same time, that was the complete inverse experience for Michael Smith. Every other final he's ever been on TV, he's not been expected to win. It's been Michael Van Gerwen, Peter Wright, etc., etc. This is the first time, especially so close to that one. If the UK Open was 6 months down the line, I think he absolutely batters Danny Knopper. But because it was so close to that World Championship, and it was like the heartache of the World Championship, right, you're getting over the line. Let's be honest, how many people had already written Michael Smith wins the UK Open in our profession? Exactly. And I think that's what got to him that night, not anything else. I still think Michael Smith will be absolutely fine. The level of performances that he's capable of are just far better than what most people can do.
What he's got to do, I think, sooner rather than later, he's got to go and win these nights. He's got to be in the position where, if he doesn't finish top 4 this year in the Premier League, I would really struggle to see him going on a little bit further and maybe going to reach a match play final again and all the rest of it, because he's basically completed the set now. The only one he hasn't made a final in is a World Grand Prix. That's the only one on.
I think after seeing the World Championship and then after seeing the UK Open, it's definitely a case of when, not if, for me. And I'm even more convinced right now that the floodgates open when he does win one.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that.
In the past, I've been a bit hesitant with that, saying no, he's had that many finals, he might just go and win one, etc. But I'm so convinced that just getting over the line in that final will be such a weight off of him for so long, he will go berserk.
I don't disagree with that at all.
If Michael Smith gets one, I have no doubt saying Michael Smith gets 10. Genuinely think he's
happy. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. But you have to question. But you have to question that, don't you? And like a performances like tonight was so. That's why I've always said that averages aren't necessarily just a guide. They're not the be all and end all. And as Mark was there in the chat room, completely. The issue is that he's had so many chances to get over that line. I am with you to the point that he has played, apart from the Noppert game, he's played in every one he's played in over everybody. Everybody that's played him has been a higher rank than him, and I fully accept that. But that Noppert final, you can't let that happen when you go 8-7 up as well into the final.
I think if he does another performance like the Noppert one against somebody he's expected to beat, then I'm 100% with you. But it's the first time he's been in that situation, so close to that World Championship as well, like I keep saying. If this was September, October time, and he's had time to process it, he's been through the Premier League campaign where he's been competitive, he's had other cracks here. But the fact it was the first one, Masters, nobody really cares about.
Okay, going back to Premier League then. Going back to Premier League, do you think this is top 4? Because I think he does.
Not the minute.
Not on this form, no, I agree. Right.
I mean, if he keeps making semi-finals every week, then there's definitely a chance and getting to these finals.
But he's got to go and win one. To be fair, I actually think, here's one for you. I think if he wins one of these nights of the Premier League, it will feel to him like winning a trophy. It will feel like to him winning one. And therefore, then I agree with you. The floodgates might then open and then he goes and wins one.
Let's not forget, we are only halfway through this Premier League campaign. So there is still plenty of time. And we've seen
the games are going to start now soon, Dob, and you can't keep losing quarterfinal like that.
Very, very quickly, I agree, but he's got to play everybody else in the first round again at least once, which there will be other opportunities when players hit form, drop out of form, etc., etc. Once we get to Sheffield and there's one not on the cards, I'll be worried when there's only 3 left. But I still think he's got plenty of opportunities at the minute. It'll be fine. And we get a little bit cultural over the next few weeks. We've got Aberdeen, we've got Dublin, Glasgow, as Craig said.
Up the Dubs.
Anyway, that is the
a long-winded version of the quarterfinals.
A very long-winded version of the quarterfinals. We're normally about to wrap up and start looking at predictions for next week after half an hour. We've done the first round. Welcome back, Jar. We've got semi-final number 1, James Wade 6, Joe Cullen 2, and pretty much carbon copy of the game against Michael van Gerwen in this one. Cullen 2 from 10 on the outer ring, Wade 6 from 9, so a little bit better this time around. Breaks in pretty much the same places that he did against Van Gerwen. Admittedly, Cullen didn't quite have the same amount of chance in the first 5 legs as Van Gerwen did earlier on. But another 94.8 average, 66% on the doubles. No 180 in sight for James Wade, but 17 tons. That is wading. Forget the first game. There was 180s and there was whatever in there. That is James Wade.
Do you want me to actually give an opinion on this? Really?
No, we could just move on. Much needed final for James Wade, but we will speak about that very, very shortly.
Only because you were up betting. Don't be like this. We'll talk about it in a second because I actually watched, because I was working tonight, but I was keeping an eye on this. And I then watched the second semi-final, which was brilliant, by the way. Unreal standard.
It was unreal standard. And I can't lie, I may have clipped Monday Night's Live Lounge and put it on social media where I said that the final would be James Wade against Johnny Clayton. Phil Bars asked, I started by there's only one way to go for this, and Phil's like, no, there's your way, and we'll laugh it, and then there's the correct way. And then at the end of my prediction, Phil asked me if I'd had enough sugar, questioned my diet choices because I had a Domino's, and whatever else. And admittedly, I did say James Wade will win this title. It didn't. But fortunately for me, I'd back James Wade against Johnny Clayton at 25-1 to be the final. So, can't lie. Despite the fact we are not biased on this show, we have the odd favourite as a fan, etc. But I may have done the Peter Wright dance when Johnny Clayton beat Peter Wright. I put down my liver.
No, anybody watching or anybody listening to this, there is absolutely no maybe about it. God definitely did it.
There is absolutely.
It was a bonkers game. It was a bonkers game of darts. Bonkers game of darts. That.
It was exceptional. Yeah, this is where I was going. In that prediction, I may have said that James Wade beats Michael van Gerwen, then Gerwin Price, and takes advantage of a lackluster performance from Johnny Clayton in the final after Clayton edges past Peter Wright with a mid-90s average. Turns out it was one of the games of the Premier League so far. Ridiculous standard. Johnny Clayton overcoming Peter Wright despite him averaging 107.71. The first 8 legs shared. Actually, no, Wright went 2-0 up, 2 apiece. Shared the next couple. Clayton breaks in leg number 9, gets over the line in leg number 10. Peter Wright, 4 from 15 in a performance where he averages 107. The world champion, world number 1, was back tonight.
He was. He was definitely back to his best. There's no doubt about that.
Sorry. He was back until he had to hit that little bit around the edge of the board.
It's a fair. I think the biggest point for me was the fact that, particularly when he got to full rule, he had chances to win both the 10th, 9th and 10th leg. It's them. Like, you don't get 130 quid. And also Clayton doesn't make the final. It was a great game to watch. Like, and when the pens were at that point, you just know that they're great. I mean, I don't want to say I told you, but remember after the World Championships, and I said it would happen at the Open. I'm not even following darts properly now, and I still know what I'm talking about. More than Southern Gob does. Look, here's the deal. So, not after tonight. Look, Wright was back to his best. There's no doubt about that. He looked very, very lackluster over the last couple of weeks. I think to see him back to that standard that we know that he can hit. And what I'd say to him is that obviously, if Gerwin Price is back to can win another Pro Tour, this weekend could be fun, couldn't it? If Peter Wright can go win another tour, he can keep holding that number 1 spot potentially. But like I said before, do you think we're going to see much more of Wright and Price in the Pro Tours? Because I can't see it with the schedule that you're going to see. They'll be safe for my head anyway, so they'll be fine. But no, Peter Wright looked back, and it was great to see. And I think that if he continues to play like that, can he win? Can he defend the World Match Play title? Absolutely, he can. Absolutely,
and win whatever the man fancies, and he'll probably call it before it happens, because that's what Peter Wright does.
That's what he did last year. How it started, how it's going.
He did indeed. On to the final then. I mean, what an exceptional performance from Johnny Clayton to invert his previous final performance. He's made 2 finals before in the Premier League. They were week 1 and week 2. Both of them were not great performance-wise. Admittedly, week 1 he runs into Peter Wright, who averages 113, but he only averages 88. Following week he averages 88, but gets over the line against Joe Cullen. The biggest disparity, despite it only being after 3 darts, I think you will ever see in the average column. James Wade opens up the match scoring 5, and Clayton fires in a 180, 175 points difference in the match averages at that point. Yeah, we know they're only a guide, etc.
But Clayton averaging 111 though.
Ridiculously good performance from Johnny Clayton, 111. James Wade started slowly, didn't get a lot better, but was it not was it job done? Obviously you need the points, but actually to get to a final once again for James Wade, he keeps just accumulating, keeps himself in that mix for that top 4. You can't guarantee yourself to be in the top 4 this early, but you can almost rule yourself out of it, and James Wade is doing a good job of staying in the hunt despite this performance in the final.
Only 2 points off Cullen, so another final potentially, and he'll be right back in there in the top 4. If he goes and makes the final next week in Leeds, then we're good to go. If you're James Wade, look, do I think McGowan and Clayton are pretty much already there? Yeah, I think they are. I think we'll see both of them in there. I'm not saying not finish 1 and 2. Don't get me wrong, things have changed. But do I think Wright's going to be in there? Yeah, I think I do. After the halfway stage, we're going to go on that basis, but. The rest of it, I genuinely think the rest of the 5 are playing for 1 place. I can't see unless one of the top three in the Premier League gets an injury, I can't see how Van Gogh and Clayton Wright are not there on June the 13th in Berlin.
The fact Wadey is fifth, but there's two players below him that have already won a night, I think speaks for itself as well. So he does just keep accumulating. He's won 6 matches. Cullen's won 7, but one of them was obviously a final. Peter Wright's won 9 matches so far, and the other two have both won 10. So look, there are still opportunities to pick it up against it. But I actually, back to the format, I actually think this suits James Wade less than anybody else in the field. The old style where he rocks up one week, does a job on somebody, turns up the next week, produces a steady performance, suits James Wade a lot more than having to play 3 in a row against the best players in the world. Because this is not to say this is the only way James Wade wins, but for the large part, and a comment that we always make, is that James Wade has made a living off stepping up when others don't quite deliver. You're not going to get 3 of the top 8 in the world not delivering at the same time, unless you don't Cullen last week, an exception. It just doesn't happen very often, and for James Wade to be in a position to take advantage of that, it's just a lot to fall into line at once. Normally, you get a few nights consecutively. So
no, yeah. I don't dispute that. I think if you're looking at it right now, I mean, can you get the Premier League table up on StreamYard? We'll have it for the BDC.
I haven't got it yet. I've got the other one. Let me put it in.
Well, PDC just tweeted it fair, so we can give them credit, can't we?
I've got the Dart Simmery one. It's already downloaded.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, let's put that in there. Dart Simmery, thank you very, very much for tweeting this. If you look at that there, everybody that's in the chat room, can you see? Do you agree with us? Do you think that Van Gogh and Clayton are pretty much already home and host? Because I can't see Van Gogh and Clayton and Wright all messing up. I still think that one of the 3 of them, they will each win one more event with the way they're playing. And that's where I get to.
Right, we'll let you comment on that for now. I'm going to hide the table because it is interview time. We have 2 clips for you tonight. We do have the winner, Johnny Clayton, and we also follow that up with Mark Webster's thoughts and feelings on tonight's action. So we'll play those for you, starting with Johnny the Ferret Clayton.
Yeah, probably yes, because I know I can do it. To be a part of the elite in darts is fantastic, and I just want to show everybody that I can play darts.
You skipped the Pro Tour last week. Did you feel that was needed just to give the batteries a bit of a recharge, and were you feeling a little bit drained from the schedule?
Yeah, maybe. I think I needed that. Just a little break. You know, it's tough. The Premier League week in, week out, straight on to Pro Tours, European Tours. It's tough. And yeah, great. I needed that. I needed to recharge the batteries, like you say, and well, yeah, I might miss a few more just to win on Thursday night. No, brilliant. I needed that. Yeah.
Indeed, very Gary Anderson of you. That I just want to play darts, but refresh.
So I play darts. That's all I do. So I play darts. Play darts. That's all I do.
Gone for the accent. This is Mark Webster's thoughts on all of the action tonight.
Yeah, dominant. Yeah, deserving win. And sometimes you can dispute the winner, not tonight. Johnny Clayton was in dominant form, and that game against James Wade just felt like he wasn't going to miss. And credit to Johnny as well. He's not been in the best of form. It's been a bit different. He's been picking up the odd win here and there as well, but he'll admit he's not been at his best. But tonight, that was the Johnny Clayton that opened up the Premier League campaign, and he's put a marker down now. But he's got to go and do it next week now. Book himself a place in the playoffs, get that sorted and dusted, and plays like that, he'll be in the playoffs.
He's not wrong.
No.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
In a row will take some doing. That'll be a lot of games to play in the foreseeable future. What do we have in the chat room? Niels, on the way home, went tonight, being from West Midlands, surrounded by Bromma Villa fans, boing.
All the baggies.
JV says MVG with plus 23 must be safe. You say that?
I think he is. I think he's safe. I think he's in. I honestly think the top 3 are there. I'm not saying they won't finish in a different order, but currently right now, MVG, Clayton and Wright, I think are there. I think the rest of the field are playing for one more on the finals night.
The thing is, it can change so quickly in this Premier League campaign, and this is what I'm about to highlight. In 2 weeks, by the time we leave Manchester, if Van Gogh goes winless for the next 2 weeks...
Yeah, but if my grandmother had wheels...
Granted, but this is how quickly the maths can change. James Wade wins a night, and he also makes a semi-final, and Clayton, Wright, and Cullen all go. Cullen back-to-back semis, Wright 1 win, Clayton 1 win, Henry G's out of the top 4, and that's just in 2 weeks. We've got another 8.
Go on, I'm just going to say this to you now, mate. Generally, just as a thought, do you want to wake up dream that you're having?
It's not a dream. It's the same point I made last year when we were looking at Ryan Searle qualifying for the match play. That went down to the very, very last moment. There is such a.
Is Ryan Searle still safe for the match play goal?
He is this year, just about, I think. There is such a swing of points available. Don't get me wrong, in previous campaigns, I'd have said he's there pretty much already, because he would have been 5 weeks away from James Wade catching him at 2 points a week with only 8 weeks to go. Now he's 2 weeks away, and there's still 8 weeks to go. We're only halfway there.
I'm not saying that things might not change, but what I'm saying is that our top 3 are there. I think Van Gerwen, Clayton, and Wright will be in the top.
If they produce what they did in the first half in the second half, or even close to that, then I don't disagree. But very, very early to start saying people are in the playoffs already, Mr. Eaton. You should know better. Let's look ahead to next week, and you get to do some predictions. Unfortunately, you probably won't be here to tell us how.
I definitely won't be here. I definitely won't be here.
Right, do something a little bit crazy.
Why not?
More, Neil says in good position, snake bite laters. Lee Boyce is here. Evening, gents. Return of the jar. Evening, Lee. Hope you enjoyed your night at the Birmingham Arena. Is it the NEC now or NIA?
No, it's the NIA. Don't be silly.
Close enough. We roll into Leeds next week, home of the Brad.
We all hate Leeds.
Nobody likes Leeds, but it is a very, very loud arena, actually. When they used to measure decibel volumes, Leeds always used to be very, very close on that one. We were hoping to be there as a team, actually. I can't lie, but we are very, very busy next week as the WDF starts this weekend as well. Championship, there's Pro Tours, there's Challenge Tours, and there's all sorts for us to be covering. And a cheeky little matter of me going to Reading for the World Seniors next weekend as well. So keep your eyes on all of our coverage. That's the point. I won't be here next week. I'll be on a train.
Good luck. Who posted that then?
Oh, yeah, Phil, we need to talk. I'm on a train and Lee's at the WDF. You're hosting. Magic. Week number 9, Premier League, and we start with Michael Smith against Peter Wright. Jar, score prediction, please.
Peter Wright wins this one 6-2.
Brutal. I'm going to say...
Is Peter Wright playing better than Michael Smith right now? Yes, he is. Did he beat him recently in the World Championship final? Yes, he did. It works.
I actually think Michael Smith's playing a little bit more consistent than Peter Wright is right now. But I don't disagree with the victor. I disagree with the margin of victory. I'm going to say this one goes all the way, 6-5 to Peter Wright. Game number 2, Gary Anderson versus Michael Van Gerwen, the El Clasico of darts. We've seen this one 1,000,001 times since Christmas as well, it feels like. And actually, Gary hasn't been as far away in some of his matchups as I would have said last year and potentially even the year before. Still feel like he's got to add a few points to his average and to his level of game. He's very much a Rob Cross from last year at the minute, just coasting along nicely. Nothing too dreadful, but nothing too exceptional. Where do you see this one going?
Well, I see this one going. I see the game as he has done for the previous 12 Olympics. Michael Van Gerwen wins. And MVG wins this one 6-3.
Women's Darts. Hello, Women's Darts. Good to see you. Joined us for the Women's Series very, very recently. Been involved in an awful lot. So good to see you, pal. I'm going to say we see it again. We see it again. Right versus Anderson. Why not? Don't pull that face, mate, because Phil did that to me last week, and he ended up on Twitter tonight being abused by me. So, yeah.
Yeah, but the difference is that I know what I'm talking about. Sorry, Barzy. I'm sorry, Barzy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Barzy. I'm sorry. You know what I'm normally like.
Any Goulding, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. I'm going to say Gando, and I'm going to say 6-4 in that one. Match number 3 on the night is Joe Cullen against Johnny Clayton. JC versus JC.
JC wins.
Oh, that's bold of you. Well done.
Joe beats Johnny Clayton and he beats him 6-4.
Cullen beats Clayton?
Yes.
Ooh, interesting. No, Clayton beats Cullen 6-3 for me. And in the final game of the night, James Wade takes on Gerwin Price.
Yeah, but I want to say Price just to annoy you, because as we all know, Gerwin Price is the best player to ever pick up a dart. 6-4, I'm going to go Gerwin Price beats James Wade. Why not? Why not?
I said last week that James Wade would beat Gerwin Price tonight. He didn't get that opportunity, but he will do next week. James Wade wins 6-3. From your 4 semi-finals off the top of your head, I want you to pick the 2 finalists and who wins.
Peter Wright beats Michael van Gerwen. Gerwin Price beats Joe Cullen beats Gerwin Price. And yeah, Sonic. Well, Joe Cullen wins in Leeds.
It is very much home for Joe Cullen, isn't it? Or close enough.
Correct. He's a Bradford boy. Yeah.
Yes. Although we're in England, so we don't really support anybody. That's just how it works.
We support anybody. Well, you support anybody that's English. I don't, obviously.
I think we see a repeat of tonight's semi-final in the final. In fact, I picked Clayton to beat Cullen. I thought I'd just pick Cullen and we got a repeat of the semis next week. How very unlikely. I'm going to say Wright takes on Johnny Clayton in the final. I think Clayton beats Wadey next week. And Wright beats Gando. And I'm going to say that Peter Wright beats Johnny Clayton in next week's final.
Yeah, look, I think Peter Wright will be in the final. I just think that Joe Cullen will find a way to beat him in that. Because
that's putting him in the final?
Yes.
He loses first round to Marcus Smith.
Correct.
How
it works on this show.
show works. Brilliant. That is pretty much all we have time for tonight. Somehow we've managed to wrestle back a large part of the time that we normally do on this show. We whiz through our predictions for next week. As I just said, I'm not here next week. Lee's not here next week, so we may have to work on who is hosting next week's show. But make sure you are subscribed to the channel and do drop us a like on the show to make sure that you don't miss out on anything. Hi, Phil.
Good evening, Philip.
I don't think he has a microphone plugged in. He's about to take himself out.
What is Philip doing?
He's in the press room. I took him out.
What's going on?
I don't know.
Thank you,
madness on the show.
It's been madness. I've been for a night, so clearly there's been proper madness.
Yeah, like I said then, guys, if you haven't already, please do hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon to make sure you get notifications for all of our uploads, and make sure you have liked tonight's stream. If you want more darting action, stay on our YouTube channel. Head over to the Live League action. Group B action is underway. Group C is in the morning. Group B action this evening, hosted by... Who's on comms? Is it Murph? Mace?
No, it's not Murph, is it? It's Mace, isn't it?
Mace. It is Mace. Yeah, Murph is very, very busy from tomorrow onwards. He's in Barnsley and then he is in the Lakeside for 10 days. Chris Mason will talk you through all of the action. Phil Bars will be here from tomorrow afternoon. We're not quite sure who he's with yet. I think it's Lee to start with and then potentially me to go through Friday's Pro Tour action. And then Saturday and Sunday it'll be myself in the hot seat and one other from the team. Then obviously the WTF World Championship starts Saturday lunchtime. Phil will be there Saturday and Sunday, and then Lee Boyce from the team will be there Monday onwards to bring you interviews from all of the winning players that we can get hold of whilst down at the Lakeside. And as I said, an absolutely hectic week of coverage begins tonight. A massive, massive thank you if you have joined us this evening. Jarlif, it's been an hour. I don't want to say it's been a pleasure. I don't want to give you that.
It has. You know it's been a pleasure.
And obviously, you're always welcome. As you know, the chat room, I've absolutely loved having you back. So,
thanks, guys.
Maybe next time we get a better microphone.
Gob, quick question. Yeah, Gob, quick question. Wine?
Vodka. And hope my neighbours don't complain too much.
Thank you very, very much, everybody. Can I just say really, really quickly, it's been genuinely, it's been a genuine pleasure being back. And thank you so much for the lovely comments in the chat room. It means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, send some more, and he might do it more often. But on that note, that is time to end tonight's show. Massive thank you if you have joined us. Chat room, you guys have been superb. And with that, good evening, and we'll see you very, very soon.